I recently met him, and I had a lot of fun because I kept comparing BT to his peers, who used to be like the telecom companies. So I said, how do you perform against, let's say, Deutsche Telekom or France Telecom, for example? And he said, stop benchmarking, BT against, France Telecom and Deutsche Telekom, because from a business model standpoint, Google actually is, for us, BT, but also for telecom industries, the new benchmark for innovation-led growth. So his thinking is that I need to innovate not just my technologies in my network, but also my business model in order to become a solution provider and be able to compete with the likes of Google in the future. So the need for business innovation is going up. As opposed to just a need for mere technological innovation, if you like. As a result, a lot of data recently, validates this shift in CEO's mindset. And this is a study by The Economist that shows clearly that while CEOs, and that includes, by the way, tech vendors like yourself, right, clearly acknowledge that, yes, more products and more services, like the iPod and, you name it, right? Those are still important. But as iPod indicates, right, the success of iPod is not in the iPod. It's not in the new product. The success of iPod is iTunes, which is the business model that makes the device so much more relevant, right? So suddenly what it means is that new business models are becoming more and more a source of competitiveness and differentiation than just coming up with a better widget. Doesn't mean, again, that new products and services don't matter. It's just that, like Steve Jobs would tell you, that if you only focused on coming up with a better iPod without fine-tuning his iTunes business model, he would have failed, right? So that's the logic here, is that increasingly innovation is going to be multidisciplinary, and it will focus on not just coming up with better products and services, but also better business models as well. And therefore, at Forrester, we came up with a definition of innovation, which I think is a little more business-oriented definition, is that it's actually the innovation for us is transforming a business process, market offering, product or service, or even business model, but something that actually boosts the value and impact for the enterprise, customers, or partners. So it must be something that has an impact and value. So it can't just be a blue sky invention, basically. And the second shift, as I said, is kind of going from do-it-yourself to best from anywhere. And this, I think, is happening because we see a shift among a lot of CEOs, is that they actually are looking to go beyond, as I said, R&D. Because R&D used to be the only source of ideas and talent. But in the future, what we see is companies increasingly embracing many stakeholders as sources of innovation. And these stakeholders could be, of course, their sales and service function internally, could be the employees, but also could be customers. And this very much inscribes into the whole social networking trend. I'm sure you read a lot in the newspapers, right? So this whole social computing and social network trend basically also dovetails into this mega trend, whereby companies are looking to basically harness global creativity to drive innovation, as opposed to treating a select function like R&D as having a monopoly on ideas and innovative ideas. And one of my favorite role model in terms of driving this shift is, of course, Boeing. I have a lot of respect for them for this particular reason, because I think that they actually have pioneered some very interesting innovation models, because this is a company that used to develop everything all themselves in Washington State about 20 years ago. But if you look at their upcoming 787 jet, 65% of not just the design and manufacturing of the jet, but the financing of the jet, so the risk assumption of the jet itself, in terms of that is spread across the network of suppliers. So basically, the suppliers are basically undertaking about 2/3 of the innovation associated and financing the innovation associated with this jet. So clearly, Boeing is one interesting company that is moving from this do-it-all-yourself mindset to the best from anywhere mindset. And later I will tell you about what does it mean for service companies as well. But to summarize what I just said in terms of shifts happening around innovation, clearly there are two shifts, right? One is, as I said, going from R&D driven product-centric inventions to increasingly customer-focused business innovations. The other dimension is going from a very kind of inward-looking, do-it-all-yourself kind of approach to innovation to taking a more collaborative, best from anywhere approach. So for me, my message to you would be like, how well are you going to undertake the voyage and take along your company on this journey from the bottom left which is going to get you closer and closer into the black hole, and get away from the black hole and move away from the black hole and provide a roadmap for your company to reach out to this top right-hand side where it should be, which is a company focused on customers, but also getting the best from anywhere in terms of ideas. So the lesson number one, I think, for IT providers, many of you are IT providers, there are two lessons I want to leave you with. The first one would be that when you think about innovation, first of all, don't just think about innovation from your perspective, because a lot of the IT providers tell me that we are investing in a lot of process innovation, like Six Sigma, to improve our delivery capabilities, for example. Well, that's your internal innovation. But if you look at the new definition, the innovation is in the eyes of the beholder, which is the client. So that means that you have to think about innovation in the context of client needs, for example. But then the bad news is that the clients are not just saying, give me, a widget or implement package application. Rather, they are getting more sophisticated in terms of innovation needs. So you must be able to address the broad scope of innovation needs they have that basically encompasses not just product, services, or new processes, but in many cases even new business models as well. So having the skill set in your organization to be able to understand these needs and meet them in effective fashion is going to be important as well. The second lesson, I think, addresses the second dimension. Remember, the going from do-it-yourself to a more collaborative environment. And you heard, again, as I said, NASSCOM is actually launching this initiative to foster an IT innovation ecosystem in India. So the notion of innovation ecosystem is relevant not only in a national context within India, but also within your own organization as well. So think about how basically, in addition to funding your own R&D activities, you may have to think about learning to orchestrate an ecosystem of external partners as well. So that means, for example, in some cases, you may create an ecosystem with the client in the center of the ecosystem, and you might actually have your IT experts and your domain experts, working closely with the clients. But that's not enough, because the client needs are becoming so complex and so sophisticated that you may have to have the humility, if you like, to reach out to other providers. And these other providers could be ISV partners, could be universities, could be VC firms who might have some interesting startups in their portfolio that you can benefit from. Could be corporate venture groups. It could be contract labs. It could be technology partners as well. So the idea of looking at ecosystem as a new source of innovation, I think is going to become a big shift in mindset among IT providers. But that means that your new core competency should be in orchestrating this ecosystem as opposed to just running a great R&D lab. So with that, I want to thank you, and I'm going to actually invite Ganesh to come present his viewpoint.